It's Friday, June the 29th. I got the date right this week. Stupid me. It's Meet the Movie Press. Coming up on the show this week, Indy 5 delayed, Leto moves to Marvel with Morbius, and Goose Jr. casting rumors, plus your box office and the week's big releases. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Meet the Movie Press.
Movie Press. It is June the 29th. My name is Simon Thompson, as usual.
Incredible
Yeah, oh my God, we should have put a warning on, actually.
We should have put a warning on.
This is to celebrate the end of Pride Month, which ends over the next couple of days. It's not, but I just thought I'd be topical.
There you go.
My name is Simon Thompson. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at ShowbizSimon. And with me, as usual, are Scott and Demetri. Demetri, who are you and where can we find you?
I'm nobody. But I am on Anatomy of a Movie, and today we're going to be breaking down Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Can't wait to talk about that movie. A lot of people go, you guys are a little bit late. Like, you always talk about it like a week later. Everybody's like, it's like, we do that for a purpose. And that purpose is so that we believe you've seen the movie already. Mm-hmm. We want to talk about the movie.
And you can be part of the discussion.
Together, it's because we talk spoilers and everything like that. So that's why you can join us later on today. So, Anatomy of a Movie in here.
Revealing that you talk about spoilers on the show, is that a spoiler in itself?
It's
should you have actually warned about that?
Yes,
yeah,
they should
sorry
be
about
warned.
Apologies for spoiling the spoilers. And there'll be someone who'll moan about it. Okay, Scott, who are you? And where can we find you?
I don't know. I'm just another white guy.
Yo!
I am Scott Menzel.
Yeah.
I am the founder of We Live Entertainment, the founder of the LA Online Film Critics Society. I do a show right here on the AfterBuzz Network on Black Tomatoes. It's called Black Tomatoes. It's on Black Hollywood Live, and it's with Carla Renata. And that's every Sunday at 5 p.m. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at The Other Scott M.
Fantastic. And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter, as I say, at ShowbizSimon. And don't forget to check out other shows on the here on the Popcorn Talk Network, but also on AfterBuzz as well.
Yeah.
If you like this kind of thing, you like pop culture, if you like DC movies, we've got shows for all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring that up too because I always go through YouTube, but I know that there's been a lot of public demand. Like, where is it on iTunes?
Yeah.
And I actually found it on iTunes.
Yes.
And I'm a schmuck when it comes to that.
It is there. I know a lot of people have mentioned that. We've had quite a lot of messages privately and sort of through the office. It is there.
In the podcast.
If you have a problem with it, you just need to resubscribe.
Yes.
So
it
is being uploaded to iTunes.
We should actually, if we could, I don't know if we can, we should put the link here in the description on the YouTube video.
We should do.
Yes,
we should
definitely
That's
do.
a good idea.
Let's add that.
That's a good idea. That's why he has you on the show.
We'll get Magic.
There you go.
We'll get Magic Anthony to do that for us today.
There you go.
Okay, we're going to start talking about movie stuff in just a second, but I want to just go straight to the chat. Jack Dennis saying, hi, everyone. Picking up on something that we spoke about last week with Jurassic World, which I know you're covering on Anatomy of a Movie. It's like the Infinity War of the franchise. For the next one, you bring back everybody. Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, Julianne Moore, Vince Vaughn. Do you know what? I don't think that's a terrible idea.
I don't either.
But I think you definitely have to have Sam Neill and Laura Dern in the next one. Because, with Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, it was nice to have Jeff Goldblum back, but I wanted a bit more. I wanted to max the Goldblum out.
Same here.
And I think really for the third one in the series, we do really have to have some of those old ingredients of the pie back in there to keep it tasty.
I couldn't agree with you more.
I agree.
And hell, if even if you can get Joe Mazzello and Ariana, I forget what her name.
Richards.
Ariana Richards to come back too, because maybe, who knows, like she may have grown up to be a scientist, or he may have been a paleontologist, something. I mean, it would be great to get, well, at least Sam Neill and Laura Dern.
100%.
Everything would come full circle, and I mean, come on, would it not make money? I mean, I think Jurassic World, part of its popularity is that it has survived off of nostalgia.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's now finding its own audience.
Yep.
Which benefits from both ends of that.
Absolutely. But when you bring in these people, you get the
old fans
nostalgia,
coming
the
back,
old everybody. It's it would be a must see.
And it opened quite well, not as well as the previous movie Jurassic World. It really, you know,
It over-indexed.
It over-indexed, and it really held respectively, which is good. And also, it's likely to remain top this week, but we'll get to box office in a bit. Okay, there's quite a few things I want to run through this week. Let's first of all talk about the solo screenwriter Jonathan Kasdan taking over Indiana Jones 5 on script duties, and the film now going to miss its 2020 release date, which means that I think Harrison Ford returning as Indy will be 78 when he starts shooting, because production is now probably not going to start until 2020 at the earliest. What do we think about that? I'm still smarting for a mutt in Crystal Skull, where they tried to introduce a younger element with the idea then potentially of Shia LaBeouf taking that franchise forward. I don't think that's going to happen now. Should he remain as Indy? Should it be a handover element? What should we do? I mean, thoughts on this?
If
So
it
many
ever
things
happens,
to talk about.
someone in the chat said that, and I agree.
What?
I don't know if it'll even happen.
I think it will happen, and here's why. It was one of the franchises that was a big part of the Disney Lucasfilm deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there was that and there was Star Wars, and they see them as highly lucrative. I don't think they will bench this player anytime soon, whether it's with Harrison Ford or without Harrison Ford.
Okay.
I don't see them putting this on the back burner. It's a cash cow. And I think potentially they've seen the success of things like Star Wars from nostalgia in the same way as Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. I think there's no way that this is going to be put on the shelf.
I agree with you there. I slightly differ in opinion regarding whether it's with or without Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
I believe that Solo, as much as I like the movie, I think part of what, you know, the dopey fans, the outcry was, you know, this kid's not Harrison Ford. So I think they may have learned a lesson. He's still, look, you can put Indiana Jones and Harrison Ford he's weathered, but he still looks worthy.
Yeah.
You need to get Karen Allen back, because I think that their chemistry is what carried Crystal Skull, regardless of the mutt part. So I think that Harrison Ford can still do it unless he crashes a plane again. The other thing is, what they could do what they did in the Indiana Jones television series and have it as a bookend where we have Indiana Jones in his house and he's got an eye patch on or whatever, and he's recounting a story, and then you have a younger person, but there's still a connection to Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
The movie can't go on without him.
He has to be a part of it, but I really don't buy into Harrison Ford being Indiana Jones for the entire movie in the way that we've known him being Indiana Jones growing up. I just don't think it's... And also, I think younger audiences... I mean, I know that there is a market now for this older level of generation, you know, the Liam Neesons in action movies and stuff like that. But there's a huge jump from Liam Neeson to what will be a 78-year-old Harrison Ford.
But I'm going to make
I don't know if audiences really want to see that.
I think Harrison Ford can carry it off.
Yeah.
Unlike my comparison that I'm going to use for this argument is Roger Moore. Okay, Roger Moore, when he started off as Bond, I'm a Roger Moore fan. I like Roger Moore, but by the time that we got to what was the one in San Francisco, the Duran and Duran song?
View to a Kill.
A View to a Kill.
Yeah.
By the time we got to A View to a Kill, I mean, Roger Moore did age. I mean, he aged, and it was obvious when they were using a stunt double.
Yeah.
I mean, painfully obvious. And even as a fan, I was like, this is the last one.
Believable.
I don't think that with Harrison Ford, he has aged. He's aged gracefully. I mean, I think he's aged really well. When you see him in movies like Force Awakens and in Blade Runner, he still can look the part. He's still big and menacing,
Exactly, but he's not the main. He's not that.
Yeah.
He's not. He's a MacGuffin.
I think the most
He's a MacGuffin.
I think the most important thing to note is that he still has on-screen presence.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think they would be foolish not to have him as part
I
of
agree.
this, because
In some form.
he is the heart and soul of this franchise, and I don't think people would, even though we can say that it could be for a younger generation, I don't think people are going to go to it if his name is not attached.
No, I agree. I mean, I think he should be a part of it in some way, but I don't think that it should be Indiana Jones as we've previously
it's like
presented
if
it.
someone said in the chat, like it should be almost like Creed, where it's a handoff.
Yeah, no, I 100%
But
agree.
they need to have
I don't
a
wanna see
really good actor in place.
And people are talking in the chat as well. A number of people have mentioned this about it should be a reboot. I don't want it to go cold from Harrison Ford, and I don't want it to do the thing about, oh, he's dead. Here's his picture on a mantelpiece. Oh, isn't it sad? Let's now carry on with the adventure. It has to be the handover for me. It has to be he leads the narrative, or he sends someone on this quest or this adventure.
Yeah,
that's what I really want to see.
To your points too, it needs to be if that's the way they're going to go. You do need a strong actor who is not going to play Harrison Ford, but is going to play Indiana Jones-ish.
Yeah,
and because Harrison Ford is not going to be riding a horse, picking up like rocks or idols or that I get with, but. If we do this, he's going to have to be along for the ride. Sort of kind of like the way Sean Connery was along for the ride, except not used as the funny man.
Yeah.
But
you also have to think as well, you're talking about along for the ride. They didn't buy this to make one indie movie. They bought this to make a series of indie movies, whether they are indie focused or spin-offs or create a universe or whatever.
Well, wasn't there a young Indiana Jones?
There was.
Right.
There was
so
a
there
TV
you go.
series.
So they can do that. They can
talking
spin
about,
that off.
And also,
right
we
now.
saw a young Indiana Jones. It was River Phoenix in Last Crusade. You saw the beginning of the movie.
Right.
That's how we kicked the movie off. So I think that's really they have to find someone who is in it for the long run and who will do a number of movies. I know the name Chris Pratt has been thrown around and connected for a long time. He's already got a number of franchises now, and I don't see him wanting to do another one.
I
where
also don't feel like he's
tying
young
himself
enough.
down. I don't think he's young enough, but also I think physically, I mean, young Indiana Jones we saw previously in the Incarnations on the TV show, but also in as I say, Last Crusade. We have to have someone who is not young and buff. We have to have someone who has that physique, who is fit, but not like, oh, it's leg day fit.
Well, in the television series, the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles handled it very interestingly, where they would have, I think it was Patrick Flannery played that age Indiana Jones, but then they would alternate episodes. Where the following episode it would be, I forget the name of the child actor. I mean, because he was like 12, who played Indiana Jones, and you sort of got to see how Indiana Jones was molded through his education, through enlisting, being part of the war, and things like that. It's a great series. It's on DVD. I'm not sure if it's on Netflix, but you should check it out.
I don't think it's on Netflix.
But
or any other streaming platform, actually, I don't think.
I don't think so.
I don't think it is.
Sure,
I haven't seen it.
It is available on DVD.
It is,
the entire series. With Chris Pratt, I mean, Lost World. I just did Lost World Fallen Kingdom. Jurassic World.
I keep calling it Lost Kingdom, and I'm like, what?
There's a scene in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom that's right out of Indiana, the Raiders of the Lost Ark. When Chris Pratt's running, he's like, run! The only thing he's not saying is, start the plane, Chuck!
Yeah.
But it's so from Raiders, with the dust was flying up behind him. It's too much. I mean, I could see Chris Pratt doing it because he's got at least the sardonic side to him. But again, it's like how many?
Yeah.
But we need to make sure that, like I say, I mean, obviously, I think they will at some point they will move Harrison Ford out of the franchise, and it will go forward. You know, you don't want it to become sort of like. We're talking about, Lost World and, and Fallen Kingdom. It's like, you don't want to be Indiana Jones, I've fallen and I can't get up. Where Indiana Jones is out and he has to call, I've fallen and I can't get up.
I've fallen off my horse.
Yeah.
And it's driving
so you don't want
me.
that. In the chat, Zeno Hour is saying it'd be a good idea for Lucasfilm to develop new IPs outside of Star Wars and Indiana Jones, or Lucasfilm is not going to have much of a future, in my opinion. I think that's fair, but also there is still a lot of longevity in this. And Lucasfilm over the years have tried to create various other IPs, and audiences have fundamentally rejected them. So I think I absolutely agree with that. I think they should look at creating new IPs just purely for their own sort of financial longevity. But in the past, the audiences haven't wanted to engage with that. And if audiences won't engage with something and make it financially worth your while, you do have to rein back on those things and concentrate on what is the business side of show business.
Well, didn't they just recently talk about making another Willow? are redoing.
Yeah,
Willow,
which I mean,
I
fucking love Willow, and
Yeah.
Warwick Davis will do it, and Val Kilmer will do it. But when Willow came out, not a lot of people gave a shit about it then.
No, and that's part of your argument with that had the
that's the
Lucasfilm
thing.
on
Yeah,
it.
and I'm like, I just 30 years on, it's going to be 33, maybe 35 by it gets through production and actually released. I don't know. I mean, I love Willow, but I own Willow, so I can put that shit on any time I like, which is great. I don't know if we need to go back there. Although I'd like to. I don't know. I'm torn. What am I talking about? I'll just contradict myself. No, don't make another Willow. I love Willow. Leave it the fuck alone.
Fair enough.
Okay, cool. So let's look at whatever else is saying in the chat. John Harrison is saying Harrison is an old fart. He can't be swashbuckling in his 70s. He's older than Sean was in Last Crusade, which is a really good point. Although I'd love to see Sean Connery come back.
I would like to see him do. I would like to see him do a swan
I do
song
miss
other
Sean
than,
Connery.
League of
miss
Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that was his last movie.
Do you know what?
I don't know why.
That is not. I've got love for that movie.
Fair enough.
I know it's. I know. I mean,
what?
don't support me all at once. But no, I mean,
I was just gonna say,
You know,
silent,
I
just
know
stare at you weirdly.
it
for the
is
rest
not.
Of the show.
It is not great, but I'd still have love for that movie.
That was the movie
Hey, at least we still got Superfly that we can hate together.
That is true. We've got plenty of stuff we can hate together. Come
Snowman.
on. Oh, Jesus Christ, that's still... I saw someone had drawn a face the other day that looked like the character, the motif, and genuinely it made me a little bit angry inside. I was like, yeah, you're bad. Also, following on from what John was saying, Sky's saying, give Indy 5 to Alfonso Cuarón. Alejandro Iriartu, as you say. Wes Ball is a good idea. Jennifer Kent or Jennifer Lee, also really good. Set it in the 80s, South America, Antarctica, action, adventure, sci-fi, thriller, drama. Take the sci-fi out, because that hasn't worked
right.
previously. I mean, aside from kind of the biblical side of things,
Right.
hey, as long as he's, kicking dicks out of the Nazis, I'm in.
Sure.
And let's be honest, you could set that in 2018.
Absolutely.
So just saying.
Yeah.
But no, I think it would be really, really good. But I think they could stay to those core values. I think we learned from Crystal Skull that taking indie spacewoods in any shape or form, whether it's on Earth or not, me no likey.
Yeah.
Me no likey. Okay, let's
All right,
move on from that.
You
Oh yeah,
League of
quickly.
Extraordinary Gentlemen. I didn't hate Crystal Skull.
I didn't hate it.
Yeah. A lot of people did, and there's aspects of it that I actually really.
Do you know what? I think we should start a crusade to not the last crusade, but to
Remake it?
to remake Crystal Skull. We should do it.
Yeah,
I have a load of producers lined up to make it. I just need Lucasfilm to give me the IP.
Fair enough.
I've never made a film. What could possibly go wrong? Okay, let's move on. Jared Leto is going to play Morbius in a Spider-Man spin-off movie. These Spider-Man spin-off movies are coming thick and fast. By the way, coming thick and fast is not a Spider-Man spin-off movie, and I also suggest you don't Google that at work. Just saying. So Jared Leto, you'll know him for his work as Mr. Joker in Mr.
Blade
Joker.
Runner 2049.
Yeah, or his first name is Mr. The Joker in Suicide Squad. Obviously, there has been a lot of talk about Joker spin-off movies and standalone projects, and would Jared Leto be involved? But he's one of the few people. There's only a handful of people who've done the double, the DC and Marvel.
Right.
When this news broke, a lot of people had opinions about this online this week. A lot of think pieces. Let's chat about that. So let's start with you, Scott. What were your gut feelings on this week?
For Jared Leto, I don't really feel he ever fits into these big budget movies.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
Blade Runner 2049, I felt like he was the weakest link of that movie. We already talked about this before. I did not feel he was great as the Joker, even though, yes, I know there was a lot of scenes cut, blah, 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 blah. I just didn't like his interpretation of the character. And
You see, I did.
Did you really?
I did.
Why?
I fuck knows why.
Oh, okay.
But I did. I mean, both him and Harley Quinn for me.
You just like those white trash people. That's what you enjoyed.
Do you know what? I think that might be a thing. But no, seriously, they
You
were
were like, this is very easy to make into a porn parody. I would really like that.
That is true. Batman coming thick and fast. But they were two of the things that I know a lot of people will disagree with me on this, and that's totally fine. But they were two of the things that I actually really enjoyed in Suicide Squad, a film that I actually didn't hate but didn't particularly like.
Interesting.
So I mean, I
liked her as Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
that's Margot Robbie. I mean, she's great in pretty much everything.
Movie.
Yeah, I hate that movie too.
But I'm with you on the thing about when he's in movies. I'm slightly distracted by him because he doesn't seem like he. I mean, he does a fine job, but it's like it's when you take a lot of musical artists as an example. I know he also is one, and you take them and you put them in a movie. Sometimes it doesn't. It's there's not the connection, there's not the mesh. It's kind of weird. And I'm not just talking like DJ Khaled, Pitch Perfect 3, which is one of the worst decisions in cinema for the last 5 years.
Now we're back to being friends.
But I mean, I love the Pitch Perfect movies, but that was I don't know who was like, do you know, maybe we should cut that. Yeah. Maybe we should cut all of that. Or maybe just give him some fucking lines rather than let him freestyle. Anyway, I'm sidetracked.
So bad.
But Demetri, what do you think about?
Well, when I read the news, it was in the morning, and I saw it, and I said, do I want butter or grape jelly on my English muffin today? It's just like another spin-off. And you're right with the Spider-Man.
There's quite a few, and some of them are happening, and some of them are not.
You know why, right?
I get it. Well, yeah.
Spider-Man is like one of the most popular franchises out there, and the superhero, like it's worldwide box office. It's the reason why.
Absolutely. And Sony wants to make as much money before they lose it.
Sony needs it.
Yeah, and eventually they're going to lose it. It's going to go back to Disney eventually, maybe. So he's fine. I mean, the man's got to work. I think he's a fine actor. I don't agree. I mean, I liked that character in 2049, and I liked all the short films. He was in that short prequel.
Oh thing. Yeah.
So I understood that character. It's fine.
When you compare his work in that movie to say something like Dallas Buyers Club, like it's no comparison whatsoever.
No.
And I mean, if you go through his entire career and watch those smaller roles, even if they're not as strong as some of the other ones, he's still so much better in that material because I feel like he can pour his heart and soul. And he's one of those meta critics, right? Like meta actors, right? Where he just kind of he's like, I'm going to get into the part.
Yeah.
And when you have a character that you have to kind of build around source material,
right?
I feel like that's where he lacks.
And you're right. He's not like an Ethan Hawke has made that crossover.
Ethan
Hawke can do the indie. Can be fantastic, and he can be in bigger movies too. And you go,
remember in Valerian?
Awesome.
He was great in Valerian.
It's Valerian. Not many people were.
What? You didn't like Rihanna? I thought Rihanna was great in Valerian too. No.
Do you know what? I mean, I've got nothing. I've got nothing.
Well, that seals it.
Fine. It's fine. I've got nothing against Rihanna. I just don't like the roles that she's been given.
No, she wasn't good in Ocean's 8.
She wasn't terrible, and I wouldn't say she was good. I didn't really like her in Valerian. Battleship was just like to me she's still being. Do you know what? I think she can, given the right role, I think Rihanna could do really well, like Beyonce has in certain roles over the years.
Austin Powers and Gold.
But I think when it's stunt casting,
I agree.
It doesn't really work for me. Give her something good to do. Give her something really solid, and I don't think we'll see that until we have her as a lead.
Right.
And I know that's going to be a big risk for someone at some point. But give us some fucking meat on the bones for her acting.
Yeah, somebody has to be courageous enough to give her something that they would give like a Janelle Monáe.
Yeah,
because she's getting roles that mean something, and she's actually doing something.
Putting them together in a movie would be a really good idea. And not just because they're two black women.
Or
I think
singers.
Yeah, or singers, because I mean Janelle Monáe has done some stuff where she's been, part of an ensemble cast, but she really gets to shine when she gets her own solid material.
Yeah.
She's great. I mean, we saw that in Hidden Figures. I think we're going to see it again in the movie that she's got with Steve Carell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I really rate her. I do really rate her.
I adore and love her.
And she's also a
everything.
really great musician and singer.
Yeah, she really is.
We're going to move on to some other news, some Spider-Man news. I just want to go briefly back to Indy. A lot of people in the chat have a lot to say about this week. Really? Film nerd Jamie says, Indy needs to be someone who can take a punch and you feel it. Bradley Cooper comes to mind. Good choice. I think he might be a little bit too old, and with the longevity thing, I think if you are making 3 movies over 10 years, I think then you need someone just like maybe 10 years younger, which brings me on to point from Sky Patterson. Good to see you again this week. Taron Egerton, Edgar Ramirez. I wouldn't say so much Edgar. Joel Edgerton could take over from Harrison Ford. And a lot of people also saying Ansel Elgort, who I was going to suggest earlier. But also Alden Ehrenreich. I know obviously he was in Solo, but previously I think he or Ansel would be really good to do this. Ansel's very busy for the next few years, so I don't know if he would be available, and I don't know if he's trying to get away from this kind of thing. But obviously, I mean, we'll get to this in a second, but Baby Driver, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. A year ago this weekend, Baby Driver came out.
Right.
Yeah.
That's when you and I met.
That is Anatomy of the Movie. But yeah, so I think if they do a second one, obviously he'll be needed for that, which is going to be, if it happens, and Edgar hinted this week that he's maybe... something's happening with that. It was in a tweet. So we can see, I mean, if that started work, that would be 2020.
How young do you think that person should be?
I think it has to be early 20s. I don't want young Indiana Jones. I don't want to like what they've done with, I mean, ultimately they're not going to do it for me. But I think we don't want to do what we've done with Peter Parker, which I think they've done well, and that's make him school age. I think it needs to be young adult. I think it needs to be the start of Indy's career. Professional career, because obviously he was doing that as a kid, as we saw from the young Indiana Jones. So I think we really need someone in early to mid 20s. Also, from a longevity point of view, that then means that you can have an arc where it's like 10 or 15 years for movies, where you can then, it's old enough to then, if you want to, literally birth a new generation potentially and bring them into the fold.
So that is if you're
that's
doing
what I'm thinking.
Somewhat of a reboot. But what about like for having Harrison Ford and having somebody younger? Do you want them to be 20? You don't want them to be Indiana Jones? Because I was actually thinking, because they seem to get along just swimmingly on Blade Runner 2049, have Ryan Gosling.
Someone else mentioned Ryan actually in the chats.
Together I think they're good. Ryan can handle the action, and he has a persona. I think that could, so if you're going to end the Harrison Ford age of Indiana Jones, right? Number one, you have to do it like Last Crusade. I mean, they all rode off into the sunset. Yeah. Like a great Western. Yeah. And it has to have that emotional... It has to have an emotional touch.
It does.
You don't have to kill him.
I don't know if Ryan would want to be. He's avoided franchises so far. I just don't know if he'll want to be tied down to that.
Jack Dennis in the chat pointed out this guy, and I love this actor, Glenn Powell, who I recommended from Set It Up a couple weeks back. Who's also in another piece of news that we're going to be talking about shortly. I think he would be great because he has charisma and personality, and he can be like built. I feel like they can really build upon him.
People also saying Jensen Ackles or Jared, obviously from Supernatural.
Stephen Amell
would be good. People are also mentioning Dan Stevens. I think Dan would be great on this. Evan Peters, I don't know. I think Evan's too
goofy. Yeah, too goofy.
And also a lot of names coming through from sort of other sort of big sort of franchise and series. I mean, Grant Gustin would be. I think actually Grant would be quite good. And Dylan O'Brien, I think, would be quite good as well. In the Maze Runner movies.
I thought that Grant would have made a great Solo.
Yeah.
I think he auditioned. But regarding Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki, I don't know why more people don't hire them for movies.
It's very surprising.
I mean, other than the fact that they may be just turning stuff down because they do so well on Supernatural.
Well, someone said to me, I think they've been riding that wave out, and someone said to me recently, oh, well, it's difficult to take someone from TV and sometimes make them a movie star. And I'm like, well, that's what happened with Chris Pratt.
Oh yeah.
There are many cases where it has actually worked.
Robin
Many cases where it has
Williams,
Robin Williams, Steve
Carell.
Carell.
I know.
So I don't think that's the
Look at
strongest
half of
argument.
the Saturday Night
argument.
Live cast.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on from this.
Okay.
We'll probably come back to Indy as more people put their thoughts in. Let's talk about Spider-Man. Go back to that for just a second. Spider-Man sequel, we found out what the title's going to be called this week. Spider-Man Far From Home. Because Spider-Man is far from home. He's away on an out of non-domestic
he's
trip.
dead. Isn't he?
Spoiler.
He's dead.
Oh my God! What does he think this is? What does he think this is?
So we know Tom Holland basically.
I said at the beginning of the show.
Tom Holland revealed that this week, the title of the movie.
That bastard can't keep his mouth shut.
Jesus Christ. Seriously.
Kids today.
Yeah. But, I think that's a good title, and it makes sense. I mean, they do 3, and then the next one is
Homeward Bound.
Home Alone.
Yeah.
Home Alone.
Homebound.
Yeah. Home. Oh God, has he had an accident? Homebound.
Lost
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Wait,
I think it's a good title. I mean, it makes sense if you are going to keep this home thing.
Spider-Man, I fall and I can't get up.
Yeah, that is the one. So I mean, I like that.
Spider-Man Home Depot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now let's move on very quickly. I just wanted to touch on that Spider-Man news. This is a name you actually mentioned literally minutes ago, Scott. Top Gun Maverick, looking to cast the son of Goose. 3 names have risen to the top this week. One of which is Glenn Powell. Obviously, you mentioned him from the rom-com that was on Netflix recently. What's it called? Set It Up.
Set It Up with Zoe Deutsch.
But also, he was in Hidden Figures.
Yes.
As well, in a couple of other things.
Very small role in that.
Very small role, but he's very, very good. He has a really nice presence on screen.
He was
Everybody wants some.
No.
Everybody loves Raymond.
Everybody
hates Chris.
Everybody wants some. It is the Richard Linklater.
On Hidden Figures, he was
John Glenn.
John Glenn.
Yes,
Yeah.
and he was also in that terrible Ryan Murphy show, Scream Queens.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also up along with Glenn Powell, suddenly in the loop on this is Nicholas Hoult and Miles Teller.
No Miles Teller. I'm against Miles Teller on this.
Do you know what? I agree with you on that. I think Nick Hoult or Glenn Powell out of those would for me be the most interesting and would fit very well.
I think Paul. See, and I'm gonna go with Miles Teller.
Interesting.
Really?
Why? Why is that?
I think he's a really good
Explain
actor.
yourself. No. Why is that?
I think Miles Teller is a really. I think he's a fantastic actor.
I think he's a great actor, but I think he's a great actor, but
I get where
He doesn't sell
movies. No, perhaps not. But are you going to Top Gun because of Goose Jr.? No. So
no, but also
you know,
that's an iconic character.
And when you look at movies that he's done, I mean, I just recently watched
Only the
Brave.
Yeah,
and he's a really good actor.
he is really good.
And I think in his career, I mean, he could be difficult to work with. I don't know if he'd want to be in a franchise, but those would be my choice. But I liked Powell because he most resembled what Anthony Edwards and Meg Ryan, if they had a kid, they would look closest
do you
to
think
him.
so? Because I think closely. I mean, Nick or Glenn would be the ones.
Me too.
Glenn,
I would,
Glenn,
if it was
yeah.
Miles Teller, I'd think Meg Ryan might have been fucking around.
Maybe she was.
Because doesn't it look like Anthony Edwards?
Maybe
By the
after
way,
she-
Anthony
maybe
Edwards.
after-
Right. See, look at now when you say that, Glenn is definitely
Glenn.
the only choice.
Right. See,
Yeah.
that's
He's the
what
only choice.
He's the one that looks the most.
If
That's
you
what
thought
I said.
that-
Yeah.
You know,
he's the
he-
one that looks the most.
Yeah. I mean, Miles Teller. I mean, I like him as an actor. I just think visually, if you're looking for a continuation on that, just the other guys, but as you say, Glenn is probably more out of the two.
And he can
although I
play
am a fan of
cocky.
Nick Hoult. Yeah, I think that would be really good. Interesting, actually. We have a connection from the show, and I won't reveal the source on this. But they were filming in California recently on Top Gun 2.
I know.
And Anthony was apparently seen there.
Oh.
It's not what I've heard.
So I don't know exactly how true that is, but that's what we heard.
I have a
Very
whole
so
thing.
we'll
I was
see.
not there.
Yeah, I heard it.
You weren't?
I know who was.
I would
there
be
for a
surprised
fact.
if he was there because obviously his character is no longer there.
Yeah.
Having spoiler died in the first one.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, he comes back as not as Goose, but as Ghost. Literally.
Yeah.
So no, but I know. Well, Val Kilmer
They went
was
back
there
in
for-
Yeah, but we know Val
Tom
Kilmer
Cruise,
is
and they
insane.
filmed. Catch this.
Yeah.
Well, they
Yeah.
filmed down in San Diego. I know this because a good friend of mine who works for the Coast Guard. The housing is actually Coast Guard housing. It's not Navy housing. So they need Coast Guard permission to use the houses down there. Yeah, he was down there. Had some really good stories that we can talk about later when we talk Top Gun. But I know that Val was definitely there.
Yeah.
And Tom.
Val would not surprise me, obviously, because you know that Val is going to be in the movie. He was pushing very hard for that. I would have been surprised if Anthony had been there, even though that's what.
Just to say
we heard.
hey.
He could have been on set just to say hey.
Yeah.
But obviously his character's no longer in it, and then to have someone who's no longer in it, then turning up when they now look very different, that would be slightly strange. But yeah, no, it would. I'm just thinking, technically, if you wanted to get someone on set to do it, and then you want to do the special effects on their face, you can do that.
Sure.
So that might work. But obviously, we don't know if that's going to be part of it. One thing I have to say, though, Anthony Edwards, a film of his that I love, that I think has been grossly overlooked.
Tag the Assassins.
No, Gotcha. It's called.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Just
With
so 80s.
so 80s.
And I love it. I would love to see that movie remade for the current age.
Yeah. It's a good. It's right for a remake. Because,
It's so ripe for a
Yes.
remake. But also, I think with Cold War and relationships with Europe and all this stuff and political climate with spies.
Linda Fiorentino. Wasn't her like her first?
Are you a
movie?
virgin? Are you a virgin? Yeah, she appears to be part Bangladeshi and part Welsh there. That wasn't exactly my best Eastern
But she was all
European accent.
hot.
Super hot.
Like,
Not
in
to
that
sound
movie. No, I
like
don't,
a misogynist, but
in
she
that
was
movie, like
she was meant to be super hot.
You
most
understood
movies.
why Anthony Edwards' character would follow her.
Oh,
around.
yeah, not in like a stalky way.
No,
Okay, so Kenny Loggins, some chat. This is from Zeno Hour. Kenny Loggins better be doing the soundtrack. I agree. Sky Patterson, I'm looking forward to Top Gun Maverick, July 2019. I think I am. I'm not entirely sure about that. I'm still not entirely sure. Sky Patterson saying, like Miles Teller, Glenn Powell and Nicholas Hoult, all talented, handsome, dashing, smart, but all different ranges and backgrounds. Goose's son in Top Gun 2. I don't know. Yeah, I think we're kind of all on a very similar page with that. John Harrison saying Glenn Powell reminds me of Michael Rosenbaum.
Sure, yeah, I
Yeah,
get that.
I see that. Zeno saying Glenn Powell is a good choice. That would be quite interesting. And then Jack Dennis saying Miles Teller was great in Fantastic Four. So I think Jack Dennis might be Miles Teller.
I hope so. Hey,
Which we're very, very happy to have Miles in the chat today.
welcome.
Thank
to the
you.
show.
Welcome, Miles. I'm just kidding, Jack.
Big
Thanks for
fan.
getting involved in the chat there.
We keep because we love.
That's
Unless it really
that's
is
nice
him.
ribbing. That's nice ribbing.
Yeah.
It's come on.
Unless it's him.
We're a community here. Unless it's Miles, then I'm really sorry. I'm just horribly embarrassed. Or should I say, Jack?
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to Top Gun Maverick.
I'm just nervous about these things when you revisit something that is such a seminal movie, and
it's so many years.
And again, Blade Runner. I mean, Blade Runner 2049. I thought it was a stunning movie, but I didn't like the movie that much. I mean, there were certain things like visually and sort of audio and. I liked it, but I just didn't. The movie wasn't quite right for me. And I'm like, I love Blade Runner, a movie I hated when I first saw it, but I really developed a taste for it. I don't know. I'm very happy to be proved wrong, and I will absolutely go and see Top Gun 2. And I love Tom Cruise. Things like this make me a little bit nervous.
Well, it's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, so far, the Incredibles is the only thing that can span 14 years and come up with a sequel where people actually and still remain. It's
difficult to do. Yeah. It's difficult to do.
It is. But I think with Tom Cruise, that picture that was tweeted out and went out all over social media with him holding the helmet, with the F-14.
I can't deny. I can't deny a little bit of Wii came out. I was excited, but I don't know what the final movie's going to be like.
It depends.
John Harrison saying, because obviously I can't predict what things haven't been made would be like. Top Gun Maverick is going to be better than Independence Day.
Resurgence?
I think so.
Yeah,
and then actually he adds resurgence, and I'm like,
I would hope so.
I think also being stabbed in the penis is slightly better than Independence Day resurgence. However, I do not want to find that out. I'm just going to put those as speculative guess. Okay, let's move on to some casting stuff. The Shining sequel, Dr. Sleep, adds Mission Impossible star Rebecca Ferguson this week, which is great. Apparently she's been having some negotiations over that, and they've gone very well. So I loved her in, just pretty much anything she's been in, to be honest with you. Great idea. Going to play opposite Ewan McGregor. Which I think is strong casting.
Absolutely.
Very strong casting.
Yep.
Really pleased to see that this week. She's a name that I wouldn't have necessarily thought would have been on the list for no reason, really. Purely from the fact that she's like very busy. But I think her and Ewan today are going to produce something potentially very, very strong.
Agreed.
Which, and trying to match or replicate, but not copy the chemistry of the original cast in The Shining, which to me is really the strongest part of the movie, aside from all the other amazing things that Kubrick did with it, was going to be one of the biggest challenges of this project, because a lot of it hinges on that and that believability and that connection.
Absolutely.
So I was very excited to see that. Yeah. Did you guys? You obviously had the same reaction.
Oh, absolutely. She's terrific. I mean, she was great. Even she only had a minor role in Greatest Showman, but she's great in it. And she was terrific in the Mission Impossible films.
Although, I mean, like you say, she was only in the Greatest Showman for
probably like
a little
15
while.
minutes.
Yeah, it was never enough.
Yeah, never enough.
Never. So I fucking love that movie. I know a lot of people don't like it.
I love it.
Seriously. It's one of the few movies that have been released in like the last 18 months that I've actually bought the hard copy media
I can watch it over and over again.
Dude,
I think
too.
I've seen it like 8 or 9 times.
Alrighty.
I love it.
Yeah. You didn't like it. That's okay.
That's fine. Do you know what? We don't always have to agree. That's absolutely fine. Jumanji 3.
I'm excited about this.
I'm super psyched about this.
Yeah.
Really excited. I mean, I thought that Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle was going to be terrible.
Me too. Everyone did.
The trailers looked awful. And I regular people who watch or listen to the show know that I love Kevin Hart, and they know that I love Dwayne Johnson. But I just did not think that movie was going to be good. And it was one of the best surprises of last year. It was one of my favorite films of last year. It was really, really good as far as entertainment goes. Didn't make my top 10, but as far as pure entertainment goes. And I was ready for a sequel. I really hoped, especially on the strength of the box office, they would, and they did. Sure. But it's now, they've moved their release date for 1 week before Star Wars Episode 9, which is December 13th, 2019, which I think is a very interesting, a very ballsy move, because obviously last year we had Last Jedi and Jumanji out at around the same time, but there was a bit of a gap, so they didn't cannibalize too much. It'll be interesting to see how this decision changes
How
things.
much of a gap was it? Do you remember? Because I thought that they came out relatively close.
2 weeks apart.
It was 2 weeks.
2 weeks
Yeah,
apart.
2 weeks. Yeah.
I just coming with my
but also Jumanji.
Bit of a, Go ahead.
But I was going to say also Jumanji. It opened quite well, but it was really a long burner.
Oh my god! Yeah,
whereas Last Jedi had its audience very much up front and then tailed quite quickly, certainly after the holidays. But Jumanji kept going for like months.
Yeah, and I think from a distribution,
it was that and Greatest Showman talking about that.
Yeah.
Those two movies were like the movies that
slow
could.
Burners.
They were like Thomas the Train. They just kept going. They kept going.
With my limited distribution background, it's like over 20 years. It's a good idea because you get that week before Star Wars. You know that when Star Wars comes out,
you're going to be number 2.
You're going to get clobbered, right? But to your earlier point, everybody's going to see Star Wars. It's the holiday season, right? So when you
nothing
get
says Christmas like Star Wars.
But Jumanji has room in that space as well, because you got Christmas Day, Christmas Vacation. This is going to, people are going to go see both.
Yeah.
So regardless of whether or not Jumanji stays at number 1 or it just stays at number 2 for a couple of weeks, maybe it reclaims the number 1 spot. If it's as fun as the first one, I didn't enjoy it as much as you two, but I get why it made a ton of money. So I think it's a good strategy for them because you're going to get a good, solid first week opening. Your second week isn't going to be disastrous.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be like you fall off a cliff. And even though you are going to drop and Star Wars is going to get it all in, you've got the rest of December going into January to play that off. And then when Star Wars starts to drop, I mean, Jumanji was making business even when the kids were back in school.
Right. Yeah.
So I think it's a fine strategy.
It was making money right up until it got its home entertainment release.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was.
It's it really surprised Sony.
It surprised me.
It surprised everybody.
surprised many.
But it deserved every single cent
Yeah.
that it got.
I think it's a good idea.
People in the chat are talking about this. The new Jumanji movie could be the fourth one, right? Isn't Zathura the sequel to Jumanji? This is from Corey.
Technically, he's correct.
Technically, he is correct. It's really whether you count Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle as a direct sequel to Jumanji. And obviously, then you get the option for this one. Someone's saying, "I hope they don't set it in space." But Zathura, and I really like Zathura.
Oh, I do too.
I really enjoyed that
great
movie. That
as
movie
well.
doesn't get enough love.
Agreed.
So yes, you're not incorrect. You are correct. It would be the fourth one, but then if they just do Jumanji as in Jumanji rather than
Right.
It's right.
I hope they don't go back to the jungle, though.
No, I mean I hope they
set
set it. I hope they set it somewhere else. I mean space would have been my logical choice, but then if the second one's successful, where do you set the third one? Underwater,
Sure.
obviously.
Why not?
I would say in like a major city, but the Rampage came out, so
Egypt.
the Rock in Rampage has kind of been done. Yeah. So I think there are a couple of things that they could do with that, but I think space would be logically the place to set the next one. I think you can have some fun with that as
think
well.
so too.
Kevin Hart being blasted out the door and all that stuff, and or will Karen Gillan want to go back to space again, having done Guardians of the Galaxy?
Do you want to announce this breaking news that just happened? That
What is this breaking
someone
news?
nicely just put in the chat.
Greta Gerwig eyes Little Women with Streep, Stone, Ronan, and Chalamet circling. Interesting casting.
Yes.
Little Women, I have seen various versions of
Me
over
too.
the years. I have to say, I find it a little dry.
It is.
I just do
that's
we need another one?
An impressive cast.
Impressive cast, impressive
I've never
director.
been, and I know there's a lot of love for the one that was in the 90s.
Sure.
And that
yeah.
it was a good movie. I remember seeing it. I've always found that story. It hasn't done it for me, but that is an impressive cast. So we'll see how that goes on.
I think now is the time to remake this, and with
true,
this
true.
strong of a cast, they could make it much more interesting, and they would elevate the material.
I'm entirely open to it,
Yeah.
and that's a cast that would definitely get me interested in it. It's very,
but they would like
very high
They
caliber.
would,
Yeah.
do you think they would contemporize? Is that the right? Yeah.
Yeah, make it-
contemporize
Do you know what I think they
Yeah,
should?
I mean, you would
I
have
absolutely
to.
think they
You'd have
should.
to. I think
You know?
you would have to.
Yeah.
But Greta Gerwig, I mean, I have an interesting. I didn't love Lady Bird.
Me too.
I enjoyed the movie absolutely, and it was a really accomplished piece of filmmaking. But for me personally, as a member of the audience, it didn't quite do it for me. But I'd be very interesting to see what she could do with text like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I would
think
want to
she's a
see
talented director.
something new from it, which I think she could do. That would be the way that I would like to see it. But again, Hollywood doesn't just revolve around me. Okay, we're running out of time again because we have so much to talk with. So I'm just going to run through a few things. Then we're going to get to trailers. Then we're going to talk about box office. So some other news this week, and we have to credit the hashtag show for this. They actually gave the heads up on this just after the show last week, and it's come through as confirmed this week. Kumail Nanjiani are going to be in the Men in Black reboot as the third alien sidekick, going to be called Porty.
I'm very
Seems
happy
great.
about this.
That is another movie that is assembling a really interesting and fun and tasty cast. I think that's a really,
Kumail
really
should
good.
be in more movies. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just amazing.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, we know he's working on some new stuff with his wife Emily at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think they have a lot of other projects that are currently they're trying to get off the ground. But no, I think he's perfect for this. I really do think he's great. I think he'll really bring some nice levity with him and Hemsworth as well.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, we've really seen some serious comedy balls from Hemsworth in the last couple of years. And I think it's really good. And also from a dry, not just like hilarious comedy, some really nice
Not that
dry
vacation
delivery.
remake. Vacation remake.
Okay. Do you know what? I've watched that a couple of times over the last couple of years.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
The first time was for work, and another time was like, well, let's revisit it. There are moments in that I'm actually like, this has promise. But then it never fulfills that promise. It's such a shame. Anyway,
they should have never gone down. They should have never gone down Holiday Road.
Should never have done that.
They should not.
Mark Wahlberg and Peter Berg reuniting for Wonder at Netflix. Interesting.
Winning combo usually.
Usually. I think it's.
I don't know.
Well, it's a weird thing for me because I'm a huge Spencer fan.
Right.
Okay. And I was from Boston. I was brought up with the Robert B. Parker.
You know, the people in Boston don't like Mark Wahlberg.
Well, I've got nothing against him.
Just because they're tired of him always saying he's from Boston.
Well, I've got nothing against him. But my thing about it is it's not off the Robert B. Parker Spencer. It's he passed away, and the Parker Foundation, the family, hired this gentleman by the name of Ace Atkins to take over writing Spencer.
Yep.
It's off of an Ace Atkins Spencer novel. So to me, it's like, if you're gonna use the books, go from the guy that go from the Raymond Chandler of the series.
Yeah,
go from Robert B. Parker. There's plenty of stories that you can use. Once you exhaust those, then go into the Ace Atkins. It's you can't use the same argument that Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is done, because they've already made a series.
Yeah.
Sony went, they made their Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and so now they're going with the girl caught in the spiderweb, which isn't the original author, but I know that they're trying to do something different to kick it off the ground again. I don't think it's the same argument here. I mean, I don't know why they're using the Ace Atkins and not his other novels.
Yeah.
There's plenty of the Robert B. Parker.
Fair enough.
Speaking of which, I just want to mention one thing about Netflix. I feel like Netflix, over the last couple of months with the release of a lot of their movies, they found some great success in the rom-com genre.
Yeah.
With The Kissing Booth, with Set It Up, and with Alex Strangelove.
Yeah.
Maybe they should start focusing more on figuring out those audiences for those types of movies, and slowly make more of those, and then they can take on another genre.
Because in the drama and action, they've been a little bit undercooked.
A little bit. They can just do comedy, and then they can do some award movies.
But also, I think the audiences are slightly different in how they engage with this content. I think, and it's going to sound perhaps slightly misogynist, but I think when it comes to the kind of audience who are like, I want to sit at home, date night, watch movies, you'll get more of a, I'm watching it for a comedy or romantic comedy element.
Right.
And if you want to go and see action, you want to go and see drama that is of a big scale, not just like TV drama, you will then go and want to watch that in a theatre environment, slightly different. I think maybe that's just me, but that's kind of my gut feeling from how.
No, I think that's
I
think that's a very good point.
My biggest problem with Netflix is the fact as to they want to play in the big boy, they want to play in the theatrical, but they don't play by the rules, and they can. I mean, obviously, they dump a ton of money towards their talent, towards their writers.
Yeah.
Make a good movie that's theatrical. And mine it from there, much like Amazon can do. I mean, it's Amazon Studios.
Amazon's cutting back. This year they cut back a lot.
Sure.
And they focused on very, very much the award movies because they have that Beautiful Boy movie coming out.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but and I guess it's going to be Mark Wahlberg who plays Spencer.
Guessing so.
Yeah. So he again for that character. You need a Robert Mitchum, even Robert Urich, who played Spencer on the television show. I'm sure nobody ever saw Spencer for Hire. I'm a big Spencer fan, and that's Spencer with an S, like the English poet, by the way.
Yes, absolutely.
So he'll be okay.
Another few things I want to rattle through very quickly in Blumhouse Corner this week. Welcome to Blumhouse Corner. In the Fate director, Akin is going to helm Stephen King's Firestarter remake for Universal and Blumhouse. Do you know what? I like Firestarter.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, Twisted Firestarter.
Yeah.
But also Stephen King's The Boogeyman, which is based on a short story, is going to visit your closet with help from Quiet Place writers. That's Scott Beck and Brian Woods.
Yes.
Which is
Yes.
interesting.
Yes.
So don't know anything about the story, The Boogeyman. I know there was a terrible movie out a number of years ago.
The guys
The
already,
Boogeyman.
I will give you a spoiler
Yeah.
on this, or a tip, is that when I interviewed Scott Beck and Brian Woods at South by Southwest for Quiet Place, they already had part of the sequel written for Quiet Place 2. And there's certain things that didn't make it into the first one that they're going to be doing in the second one. So,
Ooh.
yeah, I'm really excited. I told them at that. I was like, this movie's going to be a hit. They were like, we'll see. And I'm like, no, it's going to be a hit. Trust me.
That's cool. Well, maybe they'll have the same success with The Boogeyman.
Yeah,
and we can
hopefully.
see, The Boogeyman 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah.
The Boogeyman 3, Boogie Nights.
Yeah, but
Lots of opportunities there. Okay, let's talk about trailers this week. Well, that went down well. Final piece of information from Blumhouse Corner this week. Get Out 2, apparently Jordan Peele is flirting with the idea of a sequel to Get Out, obviously, because that's how they get the title.
yeah.
I love Get Out.
Yeah.
Leave it alone.
Leave it alone.
Leave it
Yeah.
alone.
Leave it alone.
Leave it alone.
You don't need it.
Nope.
Blumhouse doesn't need it.
No.
Don't.
Just give him another idea, right?
Get
Like he's
Out
already making another. No, he's making
Out
another movie
2.
next year. Like,
Get
just
out harder.
yeah, give him. Just let him do what he
out.
wants to do. Give him
Citizens
some
on Parade?
original idea.
Yeah, I mean, I love Get Out,
the
but we
fuck
don't
out.
need.
Yeah,
Get
yeah.
the fuck out.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy, get the fuck out of here!
Get Out 2, White People's Revenge.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh, we call it America.
Trump's Revenge. There
Oh
you go.
God, no, don't. Seriously, we'll get fucking hate mail, and that's really not what you want to do right now. Okay, so let's talk about trailers very quickly. For you to rattle through, The Predator, new trailer for The Predator this
Womp
week.
womp. I was so womp womp on that.
Really?
The second
Yeah.
one? Compared
Yeah.
to the first one?
I love Sterling K.
Wrong.
Yeah, I know. Wrong. Sterling K. Brown, I love.
Yeah.
Right.
But the tone of this movie seems very hokey to me. Like when the Predator shows up, I'm like, what is he? Like a regular person just walking around in a mat? Like it feels really
Spoiler.
weird to me.
Spoiler.
And then it's called The Predator, but multiple Predators show up in the trailer. Why?
But there's one big one.
yeah.
He's
There's
the
one
Predator.
big
Big one.
There's
It's
one big one.
It's
Predator.
yeah.
It was for me. It was a marked improvement. From
Oh, yeah?
that first trailer.
I knew this
you
was
know.
going to be good. I'm pretty psyched about this. We know that
I'm
it's going to
psyched.
be in Hall H at Comic Con
Yeah.
on the Thursday. I don't think if they, I think I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah. Well,
I'm looking forward to this one.
my only hope right now is
Yeah.
because they are in Hall H. I mean, you don't.
I mean,
is
but
Venom,
that, by the way, is
like
no
I was saying-
guarantee of
No,
quality.
it's-
We've seen
it's
some
no,
shit.
Well, but that's the thing.
Hall H.
Venom is in Hall H too.
I was with Lionsgate when we had the Spirit in
Yeah.
Hall
Oh
H.
yeah, that was
Good
that
times.
was special.
That went well.
Oh yeah.
But no, the-
Hall H helped so much. Hall H meant hell.
Yeah.
Straight to.
But the Predator, I liked the last trailer. I really like this one. I'm on board.
I
with
like
this one.
this trailer much better than the first one. So
Beautiful
I'm gonna
boy.
watch it.
Must see.
Yeah.
My God, like just the opening, like that first 30 seconds where
Yep.
they're just sitting there at in the diner back and forth. It's so like emotionally heartbreaking. You're like, okay, well, both of you will be nominated. Let's move on.
No, I agree. I mean, to me, it's very much a movie that I think is going to be in awards talk,
Yeah.
hands down, which will be the second year for Chalamet in a row. I think
And Carell. I mean, he had 3 last year.
he did have 3 last year. I think this is the one that really puts him more in line
Yes.
for something this time. I mean,
Even more so than even
Marwan?
more so than Marwan.
I
Because
think-
Marwan looks really good.
Oh no,
too.
I think that one does, but I think that's more fantasy. This one's going to be, the award, the award ceremonies and whatnot. They really like that serious, like
Yeah.
this is realistic, this is raw.
Yeah.
So that's what you're going to get.
and
with
it's a
this movie.
different audience, different type of movie,
Yeah.
I think, and potentially. I mean, I don't know what the rules are on this, but I think this is Beautiful Boy is more of a Chalamet movie, with Carell being supporting.
Yeah.
Whereas
that's
Marwyn
right. That's right.
is lead.
You could see dual.
So could we see the same
dual,
actor for maybe the first
Best
time
actor
ever?
and best supporting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know whether the Academy is down with that, but I mean, I don't know if there's anything in the rules to stop that.
No.
That could be quite interesting. The house with the clock. You have to be careful how you say that. The house with a clock in its walls. Just saying. I mean, it looks fine. It kind of looks like a Goosebumps movie, and it's got Jack Black in it.
That's
but
what I thought. It was like the sequel to Goosebumps. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, no, it's an Eli Roth movie.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It looks kind of fun.
It does look
be.
fun.
I don't see it, being like number one at the box office. I'm happy to take that back if it ends up being number one. But it certainly looks interesting. And there's not a lot out there. I mean, I see a lot of. We talked about this briefly last week. There's some nice darker stuff coming in for that younger or that YA audience that I think is kind of underrepresented at the moment. And are over those old school YA movies.
It looks interesting. It looks like something that Tim Burton passed on.
Yeah, some really nice sort of.
Sure does, doesn't it? Yes.
Assassination Nation.
Oh my God, this movie is freaking horrendous. I hated it. I saw it at Sundance. I hated it.
4 stars.
4 stars.
4 stars.
I'm curious to hear what you say about it.
No, I'm curious to see it. I am curious to see it. So, but I like the idea of the trailer. I think it's kind of.
Good
It's
red
like
band trailer.
it's like The Purge meets Spring Breakers kind of for me, that kind of feel, but with a strong female
It's a
bent.
very good description of the film.
Thank you. Okay, let's talk about The Equalizer 2. I was not a fan of The Equalizer. Loved the TV show. Wasn't a great fan of the first film. This trailer excites me more. I like the look of this.
I like the look of it too. My one thing about it, that there's a red flag for me, and the red flag is they just came out with the trailer, and the movie opens in like 3 weeks. Like usually for a Denzel Washington, Antoine Fuqua, Equalizer, which was really big.
Yes,
I figured they would have had a teaser
that was
trailer.
a TIFF, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I mean they would have had a trailer in March, April. Like they waited literally at the end of June to release the trailer, and it makes me wonder.
Well,
why?
maybe they were waiting for Superfly to get out of the way.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Just maybe they didn't want to. Yeah.
I mean, I saw I've seen the trailer on a computer screen and on the big screen. I like the trailer. I like the Equalizer.
I was disappointed by the first film.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I like the idea. But you're right. I mean, it is strange that they're releasing a trailer sort of a couple of months before. But I mean, I've seen no excitement and no buzz for this movie at all. And it's only going out to movie theaters in the last couple of months. I've started to see things like standees. So it's starting to have a bit more of a physical presence. I joke about Superfly, but I think there are a number of movies that people wanted to try and stay out of the way of this year. One of them being Solo. Yeah. And I think they basically kind of held back on marketing. This isn't the only movie that's coming out in the next couple of months. I think the only one that's really been pushing sort of for the end of the summer in any strong way since sort of early summer and before that is The Meg. Everything else that's kind of coming at the tail end of the summer has been pretty quiet, to be honest with you.
Well, they started promoting Mission Impossible.
Right.
Yeah, well, they
But again, if memory serves,
I mean, Skyscraper's the other one they've been pushing. That's the other one they've been.
Looking forward to that. But Equalizer, the first one, didn't that come out in like February?
No, it came out in September or October.
October.
Yeah.
So it came out after the summer. It did really well. A lot of audiences really latched onto it. I'm wondering, why did you guys wait so? Like, you're so close to release date, and audiences now are getting the trailer. And there's been no online presence for it at all.
Is it coming the same day as Mission Impossible?
It's a week. I think it's a week before Mission Impossible. I think they're like July 20th. Let's look it up. I think they might be July 20th.
Well, while you're doing that, let's talk about the other trailer that really caught my attention and got a lot of buzz this week before we move on to box office, because we are running out of time. It's a movie called Mandy, which isn't the Barry Manilow musically inspired hit that I was hoping it would be. I do love a bit of Barry Manilow. Mandy. Fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, that is crazy shit.
Yeah.
I genuinely am really looking forward to that. And it's also one of the final scores of music that Johan Johansson did before his passing. And this looks mad. And there's nothing out there like it really at the moment.
Not that I've seen.
And I think it looks really. I don't know how much of a success this film is going to be, but I do want to see it.
It was interesting.
It was at Sundance.
Yeah.
And it had the opening night of the Midnight Madness.
Yeah.
Right.
And I didn't go see it there, but I heard such mixed reactions from both critics as well as festival goers.
Yeah.
And I kind of lost interest after that because someone said, like, it's not, like Nicolas Cage doesn't have his crazy off the walls kind of antics going on. And then I heard it was actually like really slow and it's only really good in the last 30 minutes.
Okay.
But again, this is all speculation because I haven't seen the film for myself. But I also feel like it's also been very kind of quiet since that, which worries me a little bit more. I feel like it should have been at more festivals and people should have been talking about it. Because all the movies that people really started to talk about that were at festivals have been getting buzz from Sundance.
But also, I think the downside of that is the fact that when you are at so many festivals and people are talking about it at different festivals, by the time the movie comes out, a lot of the audiences who aren't as sort of in connection with the film and the industry, they kind of think it's been out,
right?
And people are sick of hearing it. And I think if you want to editorially burn, you run a risk by appearing at lots of festivals. Sometimes it plays out for things like La La Land, where it grows and grows and grows and grows and grows, and then you get the release. Yeah. And sometimes people are like, shut the fuck up about Mandy.
Well, it's like...
And you can put people off when it's something that is going to be quite divisive.
But here's the thing, for horror movies in general, that premiere at festivals, usually the buzz of them going to the other festivals usually turns into big movies. Like Quiet Place, It Follows, Get Out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of festival movies that
but a lot of people who I know went to see A Quiet Place, they didn't get the buzz from the festivals. They got the buzz from the trailers and seeing it in movie theaters.
Yeah. Sure.
So I think there's a difference between how people like you and I, we consume our content and stuff.
Absolutely.
And how, what I'm referring to just yesterday with someone is normal people who are, just out on the street doing their shit. They're not obsessed with.
But I don't know if those people would even see a movie like this.
I'm not even sure how Mandy's being released 100%. I don't know if it's theatrical.
It's theatrical, I believe.
I
believe
it's the same studio that did Bad Samaritan.
Yeah.
Too behind it.
It is.
So, and that one did not do all that well. At the box
not
office.
as well as it should or could have done, but it did okay. Okay, let's move on to box office because we literally just have a couple of minutes left. Two major releases this week, really. There's Sicario: Day of the Soldado and Uncle Drew. I have not seen either of these this week, but who's seen Sicario? None of us have seen Uncle Drew.
No.
None of us have seen Uncle Drew.
Yet,
do you know what? Had I been invited to a screening, I would have gone and seen it.
It was
but
Tuesday.
I wasn't.
But when I go see
I didn't get
Uncle,
invited to that.
But when I go see Uncle Drew, it'll be at my local theater, the Cinemark Baldwin Hills.
Yeah.
Because that will be the
Mark Baldwin?
perfect place.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Sicario, who's seen Sicario?
I did see Sicario.
Okay, you saw it last night. What did you think?
Sicario. I liked it. I didn't love it. Some people are calling it bold. I don't know why. There are some really good set pieces. I wish there was a little more Sicario in it. It has a very interesting story. It's a different movie. It's not the Sicario by Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that
who
style.
praised it, saw it and praised it.
I'm sorry?
He saw it and he praised it.
Yeah. So this is just a different movie.
Yeah.
It's very violent, which is fine. I saw, there was a parent that brought like a 12-year-old kid to this movie. That I don't understand.
I don't understand that.
The girl that's in.
That's what I heard. She was in the Transformers movie.
Yeah, she's really good.
Cool.
I liked her as much, almost as much, or as much as the girl that was in Logan.
Yeah.
I mean, she's really strong. She put up a really good presence. It's good. The set pieces are good. Some of them you've sort of kind of seen before.
Yep.
It's not as moody, I don't think, as the first one was. This was definitely more action-driven, and it is socio-political, like the first one, but this one a little bit even more.
Poorly timed.
it's weirdly
Interestingly,
timed.
weirdly
You know,
timed.
I mean, because
Yeah.
I'm watching it going, you know, if a certain someone watches this, he'll look at this as a documentary and say it's true. And
Right.
this is what I'm talking about.
This is what happens.
Yes.
And I'll be like, oh no, it's still just a movie.
Yeah.
But
Well,
but it's good. But not, I don't think.
I'm probably going to check it out this weekend.
Check it
I've
out.
got, oh my God, I've got some free time this weekend, which is quite amazing.
Did anybody see it last night that's on the chat?
Well, as far as, I mean, people did
Doesn't
go and
look
see
like
this.
it.
There was 2 million on previews on Thursday.
Yeah, which is
1.1 on Thursday for Uncle Drew. They're looking at, it looks like it's going to be Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, followed by Incredibles 2, followed by Sicario or Uncle Drew in 3rd or 4th position, and then it's Ocean's 8 is going to be number 5. Both Sicario and Uncle Drew are looking at about 10 to 13 million. It's going to be quite close for those opening weekends. But Sicario is looking at, you know, sort of comparing it to the first one. The first Sicario made about 12 million when it was released. So this is about the same. But obviously, how many people have seen Sicario and love Sicario? And then you would hope that there would be an uplift in this.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's going to open the same, maybe a little higher, possibly a little lower.
I think it's going to
is
over-index.
interesting.
Like not
So what,
tremendously.
15 or 18?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, because I saw it last night, and the theater I saw it in, it was a full house,
Yeah.
with the exception of the first 3 rows. And to your point about the people who saw Sicario and such, so the people who were sitting next to me, and there were 4 of them, 2 couples. One, I heard, I love the first movie, and then the woman was like, I love Benicio del Toro.
Yeah.
So that's why she was there. Then the other person was because I liked the other movie. And when the movie was over, they were staying throughout the entire credits and they were talking about the movie. So I think it's going to do pretty well because I think, well, Josh Brolin too.
Oh,
Yeah.
Again, he's just been, he's had a
Everything.
stellar
I believe there was a movie
year.
this year that didn't have Josh Brolin in it, although I can't confirm that.
That was still good.
Yeah, but I believe he's doing something with Blumhouse.
So,
That'll be next in Blumhouse Corner.
yeah, he was.
That should be a feature.
good.
Yeah.
It
We
should.
joked, seriously, I mean, we
have
joked
to.
before the show started that, like, every single week we at least have one item of news to do with Blumhouse. And, you know, Jason, seriously, I
Yeah.
absolutely love you. But, dude, can you take a day off?
Yeah.
Because you're kind
He
of...
can't. I told you, right? I told you
Just
when I see him
insane.
at the festivals, he's on his phone, like either watching a movie,
Yeah.
editing a movie. He's always doing
He is
something.
one of my favorite people in the industry. There's
Yeah.
like him, there's Lee Whannell, there's James Wan, there's a whole bunch of people that I just fucking love being around. They're just the nicest people. But, dude,
Take a breath.
Take a breath. Take
Yeah.
a day off.
Yeah.
You're absolutely nailing it.
Yeah.
Absolutely nailing it. But
Well, he's got. Well,
come and have
Jesus
lunch.
Christ,
We'll
we're going to be
purge.
talking about him next week.
I know.
Purge next. Oh God!
First purge.
Doubling down on Blumhouse Corner.
So we got the purge, and I'm
And there'll
sure.
be another news item by then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a trailer,
we've got
something.
a couple of things.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, more things to talk about. So the Halloween trailer will probably make its big screen debut
Yeah.
on The Purge,
Yes.
right? Then there's going to be, there was already announcement of the Halloween 40 convention. And then, of course, there's Halloween, and they're going to be in Hall H as well.
Yeah.
Well, Ashley just said in the chat that Shyamalan Ding-a-Dong announced that Glass will also be in Hall H. Blumhouse
Yeah.
Corner continued.
Yep, there you
Yeah,
go.
absolutely. But also, I mean, seriously, I mean, there was a teaser poster that came out. We need to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
But there was a teaser poster that came out. I was not a massive fan of Unbreakable, but that movie has really grown on me. But I am so psyched for Glass.
See, I was a big fan of Unbreakable, not a big fan of Split.
Oh.
Split.
Yeah, I didn't think Split was that great either. I was right down the middle on that one.
You're wrong.
I know.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm
We
kidding. I'm kidding.
we disagreed a lot on this show.
I know.
It's good.
It's Jeff back. It's Jeff.
We're wrong.
No, it's great.
Yeah, we're wrong.
There is no right
said
and wrong when
I'm
it
wrong.
comes
You know
to
what?
film. It is
I
all
may
about
not-
personal taste,
I
and that's
may not
totally
always
fine.
be right, but I'm never wrong.
Guys, if we agreed all the time, it would be dull. So, guys, that's another show. We've literally ran out of time. Sky Patterson in the chat, Demetri and Scott co-hosting is brilliant. Thank you, Simon Thompson.
Thank you.
Sky,
Thank you
it's
very much.
absolutely our pleasure. But really, for this show to continue to be a success, it's you, the people listening, the people watching on YouTube, the people downloading it on iTunes and all the other platforms. Without you helping this show grow, we can only do so much. So please do make sure that you like, you share, you subscribe, you get involved. Tell anybody that you know that loves movies that they should be watching this show. We're getting some amazing compliments, and it's very much appreciated. Let's not keep this as a closed circle. Let's open this up and share this with everybody else. I sound like a televangelist. Send me your money. Send me your money.
I need a plane.
But seriously, let's open this up. Let's invite even more people in and get even more opinions. Let's make this the place that people want to come and talk movies every single Friday here on the Popcorn Talk. That's easy for you to say. On the Popcorn Talk.
What did your English accent? Did your fake English accent?
I don't know what the fuck happened there. That was going so well. The Popcorn Talk Network. My name is Simon Thompson. You can find me at Showbiz Simon on Instagram and Twitter. Demetri, who are you?
You can find me on Anatomy of a Movie.
Yeah.
Screw that. You can find me on Anatomy of a Movie. Please support me on Twitter at dmovies1701 at dmovies1701.
You can find me at weliveentertainment.com. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at The Other Scott M, or on Black Hollywood Live this Sunday and every Sunday moving forward at 5 p.m. on the show Black Tomatoes.
And this has been another Meet the Movie Press on Friday, June the 29th. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, be nice, be friendly, enjoy movies, and just get your sweet ass back here next week.
For Blumhouse Corner and
Blumhouse Corner.
Meet the Movie
Back
Press.
next week. Have a good one.
That's our spin-off show.
Have a great July 4th, everybody.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.